Morning. Hello. Hi there. Good morning. Welcome to practice. I am coming back after a week of absence and so sorry, unexpected absence. I started to get a little cough on Sunday, and by Monday it was like full blown. And now I had a whole week of coughing, coughing, coughing. So excuse my absence, but I'm feeling a lot better now, and I'm really glad to be here and looking forward to getting through this today. And my apologies in advance if I cough during practice, but I'm still really committed. I just really want to make it happen. So, with that said, let's get into it. Oh, and I have something. Let me find it. Let me just go grab it because I got actually a special candle while I was in New Orleans for Isis. This beautiful candle. This came from the Hex store, and it's just a really pretty candle with classical artwork depicting Isis, Aset. And I wanted to thank the sister who posted the other day. I can't remember it. I'll have to go back and credit her properly. But the other day, a sister mentioned that the classical pronunciation of Isis or Aset is actually more like Ast, A-S-T, as opposed to A-S-E-T. That maybe it's a Western thing that we put that Aset into it. It might be more like Ast. So I just wanted to toss that out there, working on the pronunciation of these prayers, and still have not gotten the attention of the Egyptologist. He's got a lot of followers, and he's got a lot of videos about he's a linguist of many different kinds. So I haven't quite gotten his attention yet, but maybe I'll eventually get it. In the meantime, you'll have to hear me just laboring my way through the prayer as best I know it. But I would actually really like to be able to pronounce it as it would have been pronounced. So this beautiful candle for Isis from Hex is going on the altar. Nehes, Nehes, Nehes. Nehes Emhotep, Nehes Neferu. Nebet Hotepet, Webenum Hotep, Webenem Neferu. Nutjert an Ankh, Nefer Empet, Pet Emhotep, Tu Emhotep, Nutjert Sat Nut Sat Get, Merit Osar, Nutjert Asharenu, Anek Brak, Tu Aatu, Nebet Aset. Awake, awake, awake. Awake in peace, Lady of Peace. Rise thou in peace. Rise thou in beauty, Goddess of Life. Beautiful in heaven, heaven is in peace. Earth is in peace. O Goddess, daughter of Nut, daughter of Geb, beloved of Osiris, mother of Horus, goddess rich in names, all praise to you, all praise to you. I adore you, Lady Isis. And we are working with the Isis Oracle by Alana Fairchild with artwork by Jimmy Manton this month. And in September, we go in the temple into the month of Magu and Chiwangmu, Taoist goddesses. Chiwangmu is the great empress of the Western heaven. She is originally a more shamanistic goddess depicted with fangs and a tiger's tail, who later on has presides from her throne in the Western heaven and has a 9-tailed fox and a 3-legged raven that accompany her. And she is attended by Magu, originally a mortal maiden who was invited to a ceremony of the immortals, who brought peach wine laced with cannabis. And it so delighted the immortals that she was granted immortality, and that Magu, despite looking like a young maiden, actually has lived long enough to see the ocean dry up and refill itself 3 times. So we'll be exploring the Tao. We'll be exploring Magu and Chiwangmu and their iconography in the month of September. And today's card is Soul Retrieval, Deep Soul Healing with the Goddess. And hello, Mary Elizabeth and George and Theodora. Hi, Natalie Rose. Hello, aloha, Priestess Mary Beth. Good to see you. Hi, YouTube. All right, Soul Retrieval. And I think we had this card, yeah, we did, at the beginning of the month. And it was one of the things that I was saying is that this was one of the things that we don't necessarily associate with Isis. We think of soul retrieval as being shamanistic, and so we might associate it with more shamanistic, animistic type paths. But Isis performed the soul retrieval of her, her cultural her mythology, when she gathered all the pieces of her beloved Osiris, Waziri, back and put them all together and then breathed life into him. And this is the ultimate in soul retrieval. She actually went into realms, pulled back all of the pieces of her beloved, and using her wings, where she's depicted as the bird, the kite, she fanned life back into him. Good morning, Paris. Hi, Joanne. Oh, so glad to hear it, Joanne. Things are leveling out. Good to see you. Hope you're feeling, but thank you so much. I am feeling better. And I know it's been intense for you, Joanne, getting your child off to college. And Paris, you too. Your child started college and a new job at the same time. So amazing. Cheering your kids on. And Jennifer's here. Hi. Everybody's back to every mom who's doing back to school in whatever way, from kindergarten all the way through college, and every educator who's doing back to school right now, I salute you. As a former educator, this time of year is full of excitement and stress. Okay, so soul retrieval. Isis, the healing goddess, now offers you spiritual restoration and deep soul healing through the art of soul retrieval, reclaiming pieces of you that were lost through traumas, old and new. Soon, you will enjoy greater wellness, yes, please, energy and power, as well as the opening of gifts and soul abilities you did not know you had. Did you know that pieces of you can be trapped in the past, in traumatic experiences, and in relationships, even those long since gone, because part of your power remains there? This can happen because of permission subconsciously given for them to hold a piece of your spirit. Then the time comes for such permissions to be revoked and the pieces of self to be reclaimed and restored to the soul. Master healer and goddess of deep soul restoration, the Lady Isis now guides you to make peace with the past and to reclaim the lost pieces of your own soul. The time has come for you to take yourself entirely into your own possession, to call back your soul from trauma in this lifetime and in others, and to give yourself back to yourself wholly and completely. In doing so, your life will flourish. You will be infused with greater energy. You will be reborn into a beautiful new expression. Isis calls the soul back into wholeness again. Her passion, determination, and unfailing love for her beloved Osiris restored him from a dismembered, distorted, and fractured self into a whole divine being once more. The Oracle of Soul Retrieval guides you to forgive and to reclaim your own power and energy in totality now, even if the trapped energy is so unconscious that you don't even know that you're missing part of it. Searching for any places that you might feel incomplete or drained is a way to commence the process of soul retrieval. So let's unpack that a little bit. I want to talk about how we know when a piece of our soul has gone missing. Um, when you have had a particularly draining encounter with someone, or if you have a habit of relationships with draining individuals, either based on trauma or based on the familiarity of it, right? If some of you grew up with very draining individuals in your family or in your lives, you might not even necessarily know when someone is draining you because it feels so familiar that it feels like it almost gets under the radar. Whereas you would see somebody coming if they were being overtly aggressive or if they were being overtly insulting. You might not see it if somebody is coming along who is actually just subtly draining, where they are pulling from you. And so that's one thing, is to really pay attention to if you feel drained or if you feel depleted, if you walk away from and it's important to note there are going to be times when we're talking with family or friends when, because of our empathic relationship with them, our heart connection with them, we feel for them. And so that might be draining. You might walk away from a conversation like, oh, that was super intense. I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking more specifically about the times where maybe you walk away from a conversation with someone because you can tell that they are not supplying their own life force. They are not tapping into their own inner life force in order to get their needs met. And instead, they are looking to get from you something that is not something that you can ever give them. Like, you can never go back in time and help someone heal their fragmented past. What you can do is listen, be supportive, offer energy to the degree that it's appropriate, but you're not going to be able to fill that void in someone else. So when somebody else feels that void and they're trying to source your supply of energy and life force, then that's where you might feel drained. So that's something to pay attention to. Another thing to pay attention to is to reflect back on your sexual relationships, particularly in your life. Are there sexual relationships or incidences that you've had where you walked away feeling as if something was taken from you? And this could be under the context of, trigger warning, a sexual assault, but it could also be under the context of just even a completely consenting thing that you walk away from feeling like, ugh, that, you know. So here's the thing. In the case of someone taking something from you without your consent, an actual assault, that does require soul retrieval. It requires soul retrieval. In fact, conventional wisdom in the shamanistic community of practitioners is that sexual assault is one of the greatest depletions of soul force and energy, and one of the hardest to restore. It needs to be restored again and again. It doesn't just get restored one and done. It needs to be restored again and again because the trauma gets re-triggered easily. Now, if it's more like, oh, I made a decision and then I regretted it, you still might need soul retrieval practices, because in that sense, what has happened is that you've come to distrust yourself on a fundamental level. Your distrust in yourself for having made a decision that you later regretted is like a slow leak in a tire. It pulls life force out of you. And you might not always know that that's happening until much later. Like if you go over a little tack and now you got a slow leak, you sometimes don't see it for days, maybe even weeks. It would be impossible to go back and find the pin or the tack that did the damage. And in some cases, for some of us who are adventuresome and have had lives full of all different kinds of experiences, we might have a couple of regrets that we have on our roster. And it's okay. Let's just be with it together. It's okay. Like, no shame. I'm not ashamed of being a sexually adventuresome person who has had my share of different types of experiences, some draining and some not. I'm grateful that I know what I know. I'm grateful to be a priestess of Aphrodite. Comes with the territory. It doesn't mean that I don't still have negative effects from times that I've been drained. And when I've been drained, even by my own volition, I still have to replenish and restore that life force. And I need to forgive myself for having made a decision that ultimately may have drained me or caused me pain. At the end of the day, even if it's difficult to conjure forgiveness for someone else, we can forgive ourselves. We can forgive ourselves for whatever our part was. And already doing that starts a cycle of healing and actually seals up the leak. Because any energy that's come at you from the outside, once your inner leaks are sealed, that energy is not going to have anywhere to get in. Any energy that's trying to pull at you from the outside, if there's no slow leak, there's nothing for it to pull from. There's no way it can access you. So we have to start right here with our own soul retrieval, our own soul forgiveness, our own admitting of our mistakes, our own reconciling of, well, a few mistakes is the price you pay for an adventuresome life. And I do not regret that I know what I know. And to get to the point where we can say, I now know what I know, and I'm not going to do that again. In the case of a sexual assault or a trauma that has been enacted upon you from the outside, sometimes it's just a matter of forgiving yourself for not knowing better than to be in a space where that might happen because you really couldn't have known. And yet you still might be carrying some self-shaming and self-blaming from that. Coming to the point where you're able to say, I could never have known that that was going to happen, and I didn't deserve for that to happen. And I forgive myself for my being innocent and not knowing. Because when you do that, you allow yourself to return to that innocence safely. Otherwise, that innocence is always like outside of you, and you're giving it the side eye, going like, I don't trust myself to be innocent anymore because that hurt me last time. But your inherent native innocence unto yourself that you were born with, that innocence with which you perform your devotions, the innocence with which you love the divine, the innocence with which you love a kitten or a puppy or a baby, the innocence with which you want to give of yourself. That innocence is so precious. No one should be able to take that from you. So give yourself the forgiveness of, I didn't know, I was too young, I was too disempowered, I was unaware, I was not expecting that. And I am allowed to have that innocence back. I'm allowed to have that innocence come and rest in my heart, even as I now know what to look out for. What are the red flags? What are the problems? So in this way, our innocence is not something that prevents us from wisdom. In fact, innocence and wisdom in the Dharma are one. True wisdom is rooted in innocence, in that loving, compassionate, tender, caring aspect of yourself that says yes to love, yes to joy, yes to beauty, yes to pleasure, yes to kittens and puppies and babies, yes to flowers, yes to the blossoming of life all around us. So today we're going to retrieve the part of ourself that says yes to joy, yes to innocence. And we're going to do it through this practice of chanting And we're going to do it through self-care. And we're going to do it through saying, it's okay, baby, you didn't know. And we're going to go through it with, even if it's, well, and that's the cost for having an adventuresome life. And I paid at the door. And now I get to enjoy what I know. And now I get to enjoy a life of joy and pleasure because I know what I know. So that's our short bit for today, if that's what you were here for. I'm feeling cautiously optimistic about this chanting. Let's do it. 3 prostrations before the shrine of Guanyin. And let's take refuge. Namo Guru Be. I take refuge in the inner teacher. No. Sorry. Namo Guru. Oh, yes, it is. Namo Guru Be. I take refuge in the inner teacher. Namo Buddhaye. I take refuge in the great mother of compassion. Namo Dharmaye. I take refuge in the wisdom of the ages. Namo Sanghaye. I take refuge in the community of practitioners. Sorry, I almost got twisted up in myself there. Let's set our intention. And I've got a whole week's worth of intentions, so I'm not going to list them all, but I've been saving up all of these different intentions this whole week, seeing there have been illnesses and births and deaths and struggles and, so just holding in my heart the many different intentions that have come up this week. And let's recite the 4 immeasurables. May I be a source of loving kindness in this world and all worlds, bringing a generous heart to all my thoughts and doings. May I be a vehicle of compassion in this world and all worlds, ever mindful and aware of the tremendous suffering of others. May I be a brimming vessel of joy in this world and all worlds, delighting in the happiness of others as their suffering is alleviated. May I be a balance point of equanimity in this world and all worlds, seeing all as equals and all as deserving of goodness. And now let's make our offerings. I light this candle as a symbol of the enlightening Dharma way. May it shine brightly for the benefit of all beings. I light this incense as an offering for Guan Shiyin, she who hears the cries of the world, mother of all. Omahum. Omahum. Om Ahum. 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 Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and virtual. I confess all my destructive actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the meditation of all holy and ordinary beings. Please, Guan Yin, remain until the end of samsaric existence, and turn the wheel of dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of others to the great enlightenment. 108 recitations of Namo Guan Yin Pusa, calling out to Guan Yin, who is there, witnessing us with compassion as we find that forgiveness for ourselves, which seals up the holes, where then we can gather life force and good energy in ourselves and come into a better state of being, a more healed and whole state of being. Namo Guan Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guan Yin Pusa. Namo Guan Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guan Yin Pusa. Namo Guan Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guan Yin Pusa. Namo Guan Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guan Yin Pusa. Namo Guan Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guan Yin Pusa. Namo Guan Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guan Yin Pusa. Namo Guan Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxi 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 Yin Pusa. And our brief prayer to Yeshit Sogil, Ying Chuktaki Somo Karchanza, Dusum Kunchin Pema Jinye Ki Sangzo Dupo Dechen Sogil Mar, So Wadeb So Chuktin Nudrup So. Mother of Space, foremost of Dakinis, Lady Karchanza, gatherer of the vast secret treasury of Padmakara, knower of all past, present, and future, Mother Tsogil, great bliss queen, to you we pray, grant us cities, ordinary and supreme. Ying Chitaki Somo Karchanza, Dusum Kunchempe Majinyeki, Sangzo Dupo Dechen So Gelmar, So Wadeb So Chuktu Nudrup So. And 108 recitations of Om Mani Padme Hum. And during this portion today, let's really go ahead and give ourselves back that forgiveness, that innocence, that sweetness, that light. We're going to give it to ourselves. We're going to say, you're allowed to have it. And we're going to just use this time to seal up and smooth over the rough places in our energy where we might be blaming ourselves or harming ourselves by being trapped in the past. Okay, we're going to focus on this while we do this chanting. And with the intent that all beings will have that, the ability to completely restore whatever in themselves has come to cause pain and deplete their life force. Okay. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 And let's give thanks for our teachers. May all of my blessed teachers enjoy long, happy, healthy, productive lives and great support for their good works. May all beings benefit from their wisdom. May they enjoy a swift and happy rebirth. And long life prayer for Lama Dechen Yeshe Wangmo. Om Sosti. Through the powerful blessings of the immortal Pema Jungye and his consort, may the three secret qualities of the Dakini of supreme bliss, Yeshe Wangmo, be utterly stable, and may the light of her activities shine on the lotus groves of the teachings and of beings so that they blossom in radiant splendor. And let's dedicate the merit. May the merit of this practice and all of my activities be of endless benefit to all beings in all realms, beginningless and continuous. May all obstacles be overcome and suffering cease at the sound of liberation. May all beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all beings have happiness and its causes. May we carry the essence of Guanyin in our hearts. Namo Guanxian Pusa. And we close with a bow to Guanyin, bow to one another, and a bow to the inner teacher. And we made it through practice without me having a coughing fit. This is the first time, this is the longest time I've gone all week without a coughing fit. I'm super grateful. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a great day. And let's go ahead and forgive ourselves and heal, calling our souls back. Do something really nice and self-caring for yourself this weekend. You deserve it. And we'll be back Monday. Bye.